Only Nixon could go to China, and only Bernie Sanders could go to Jerry Falwell's Liberty University. Interesting. That's right, Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders has announced that he will be attending a convocation as speaker at Liberty University. Now, if you weren't aware, Liberty University is a very conservative Christian school that is very influential among Republicans. Well, what's Bernie Sanders doing there? Yes, Bernie Sanders is an independent, but he's very, very liberal. So what the hell is he doing? Well, I'll get to that, to why I think he's doing this. Now, on Wednesday evening, the Sanders campaign released a statement publicizing his intention to speak on September 14th. This speech is scheduled to take place as a part of a series of talks among other listed convocation speakers. Now, what other convocation speakers? Duck Dynasty quote-unquote stars Corey and Sadie Robertson. They'll be there, not speaking with Bernie, but they're just one of the speakers that will be doing this between August and September. Louis Gohmert, and of course the man who single-handedly started the recession, former Senator Jim DeMint. Jim DeMint started the recession. Anyway, a statement by the Sanders campaign said, Liberty University was kind enough to invite me to address a convocation, and I decided to accept it. It goes without saying that my views on many issues, women's rights, gay rights, education, and many other issues, are very different from the opinions of some in the Liberty University community. Some, or perhaps most. I think it's important, however, to see if we can reach consensus regarding the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in our country, about the collapse of the middle class, about the high level of childhood poverty, about climate change, and other issues. As I said, this is pretty unusual for Bernie Sanders, for somebody who caucuses with the Democrats. I don't know if this is a good thing or not. I'm not sure. And as I said, this is a deeply conservative school, and I'm not exactly sure what it's going to accomplish. But however, I do like what the campaign said about it. It said, it is very easy for a candidate to speak to people who hold the same views. It's harder, but important to reach out to others who look at the world differently. I look forward to meeting with the students and faculty of Liberty University. Look, man, they kind of have a point. I mean, it's easy to draw a crowd of 10,000 in Madison. But as Bernie Sanders has shown, he's able to draw crowds in places that aren't really considered liberal bastions. You know? For example, he got 11,000 people to show up in Phoenix, Arizona. He spoke to 10,000 people in Dallas. He drew a crowd of 4,500 people to a rally in Kenner, Louisiana. So, I mean, look, his message seems to resonate even in very conservative places, even in red states. So that's significant. So he's not writing off the red states like a lot of Democrats do. And as I said, he caucuses with Democrats, but he's an independent, which I think is a strength here. And another strength is his message. Now, we know income inequality doesn't really know political lines. Working class white people who vote Republican primarily, right, are also affected by income inequality. Anybody can be affected by income inequality regardless of their political leanings. Conservatives, in fact, they hate what the banks have done. Another message that Bernie Sanders loves to basically talk about is how the banks and large corporations have screwed us over. And conservatives also don't like that. You think Billy Bob Pipelayer in Alabama looks at somebody like Jamie Dimon and goes, yes, that's the guy. We should give that guy more money. Fuck no. They're not going to do that. Ridiculous, right? In fact, a lot of conservatives, people that aren't part of the party, the everyday working man, is pissed when it comes to things like crony capitalism and corruption. They are. So when you look at it that way, it's not really so much Republican versus Democrat. It's more the establishment versus the citizens versus everybody else. The rich and powerful versus the powerless. And people are frustrated. Why do you think a lot of Republicans are going over to Trump? Well, because not only is he pretty racist, or at least his rhetoric is, but he is very anti-establishment in what he says. He basically promises to kick over the anthill, knock over the apple cart. It's a lot what Bernie Sanders is trying to say. But he does it, of course, in a very conservative way. Look, the Democratic establishment works for essentially the same people as the Republicans when it comes to a lot of economic issues. Now, I know people don't like to hear that. And I'm not saying, oh, both parties are the same. They're not the same. They're very different on a lot of issues. But when it comes to some economic issues, some deregulation in industry, tax cuts for corporations and business-friendly ideas, well, they are alike on some of those issues. In fact, the Daily Beast reported a couple of days ago that some of Hillary Clinton's mega donors, they're also donating to Jeb Bush. Or, of course, it's vice versa. Some of Jeb Bush's donors are also donating to Hillary Clinton. Why? Well, they're doing so they can hedge their bets, so they can get favors. Larry Noble, who's a senior counsel for the Campaign Legal Center, talked to the Daily Beast about this and said that this is a common practice among a small number of very wealthy people, very influential people. Quote, some of them will say they believe in the process, but the truth is you usually see them giving to people who will be the most helpful to them if the politician gets into office. They are not necessarily Republicans or Democrats. They're business people first. What does that say to you when you hear that? What does that say to you? They will give to the people who will be the most helpful to them in office. Tax cuts, deregulation, stuff, crony capitalism, to help their businesses. Both parties, they do crony capitalism. And this is why Sanders can appeal to conservatives who don't like crony capitalism. He can he can appeal to people, to regular people, working people, not members of the party establishment. He can't appeal to those guys. But to the true conservative, the hardworking, Billy Bob pipe layer, as I said, the regular guy working in Alabama, the regular guy working hard, white working class, he can appeal to those guys. Because they know that we're all getting screwed. And that's an important message. In fact, Demos reported in a poll that said 8 out of 10 Americans across the political spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, say that corporations and corporate CEOs have too much power and too much influence. And guess what? That's the message of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is out there saying these different things. And of course that resonates with everyone who isn't part of the billionaire class. And even some in the billionaire class, like Nick Hanauer, are also saying the same thing. We have too much influence, we have too much power. Maybe we need to, cut that back and start growing the middle class again. Be a great idea. So that's Bernie's appeal. Because he can talk to regular people. So just like how Nixon went to China and found some common ground, maybe, just maybe, Senator Sanders can too.